Americans really think they got life all figured out. They brag like their food is the best, their culture is the greatest, and their way of living is just the gold standard. And when it comes to Mexico, they act like Mexico is beneath them. That's the lie I'm about to destroy. Because the truth is, Mexico beats the USA in ways Americans don't even want to admit. So in this video, I'm giving you 15 things that Mexico does way better than the USA. Number one, tacos versus burgers. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like a juicy burger every now and then. One that's really stacked high with topping. And they really do hit the spot. But sometimes Americans act like the burger is the ultimate food champion. And what Mexico does is they look at it and they go, that's a cute story. Have you met the taco? A taco isn't just food. It's balance, it's flavor, it's culture, all folded into one tortilla. You've got the tortilla itself, that soft, warm meat that's been seasoned for hours, salsa that might have been tomatoes in the vine that same morning. And then you just add a little bit of lime just to wake everything up. And the best part is that you can eat it with one hand while walking down the street. No knife, no fork, nothing. You don't need anything. Now, what makes the taco unbeatable is the variety of tacos you can get. Al pastor that's shaved off a hot spit with pineapple, carnitas slowly cooked until they fall apart, fish tacos on the coast so fresh that they taste like an ocean breeze, and yes, even breakfast tacos, which I eat at least twice a week at home, and I never regret it. And in Mexico, freshness isn't an option. It's expected. The best tortillas are freshly pressed that morning. Salsa chopped, blended, and served that same day. You can compare that to a fast food burger that's been sitting under the lamp so long it's practically writing its own autobiography. The difference is obvious. Can't beat freshness of a taco. Number two, the street food game. In the US, street food usually means a hot dog cart outside of a ball game, or maybe a pretzel stand in a mall. But in Mexico, street food isn't just a snack, it's a way of life. Walk down almost any busy street, and in the air itself is advertising the cooking, the food. You can just smell it. One corner has tacos sizzling on the grill. Another has elotes, which is corn covered in mayo, cheese, and chili powder with lime. A few steps after that, you can spot churros being pulled out of oil, still hot and sparkling. And it's not just one meal. Street food covers the whole day. Tamales in the morning, quesadillas at lunch, sopes for dinner. You can eat 3 full meals without even stepping into a restaurant at any point of the day. And each one will probably taste like it's coming out of somebody's grandmother's kitchen. But it's more than just food. It's the atmosphere. Stalls are social hubs. People gather around them, chatting, laughing, arguing about soccer or catching up on neighborhood news. A quick bite can easily turn into a hangout. Even the vendors themselves add to the vibe. They usually know their customers, well, the ones that keep showing up and come back for more. They remember your favorites and they'll ask how your family's doing. Sure, the US has food trucks and some of them are really, really good. But Mexico has been doing this forever. The tradition, the variety, the community, everything around it, it's what makes Mexico's street food hard to beat. Number three, festivals and parties. The US knows how to throw a party. 4th of July fireworks, Thanksgiving parades, New Year's Eve, Times Square. But in Mexico, festivals aren't just on the calendar. They're cultural earthquakes. Everything stops and the streets themselves become alive. For example, Day of the Dead. People line the streets with bright orange marigolds. Families build colorful altars to honor their loved ones. And even downtown Mexico, there's a parade with these towering skeletons in fancy outfits. It's not some somber holiday. It's a celebration of life, family, and memory. And all that energy is unforgettable. Look at Guadalajara. Sorry, my pronunciation is very bad, but this is a big festival in Oaxaca. It's a festival of music, dance, and costumes. These costumes are so vibrant they practically glow. Or Carnival in Veracruz. It's a week-long explosion of parades, costumes, and music that makes Mardi Gras in New Orleans look like a warm-up act. And the big difference, in the USA, parties often feel like something you watch, or parades at least. Floats roll by, marching bands play, everyone waves politely. But in Mexico, festivals are something that you join in. Streets fill with dancing, music spills from every corner. The fireworks light up the sky, and the line between performer and audience completely disappears. So yes, the US has its parties, but in Mexico, celebrations aren't just bigger, they're deeper. They're deeper woven into the culture. And they remind you that joy isn't just a special occasion. It's part of the rhythm here in Mexico. Number 4 is family time. In the US, family dinner often looks like this. Everyone grabs food, sits in front of a different screen, and maybe text each other across the house. In Mexico, family time is a full event. Meals here are more than just eating. The table is piled high with dishes, tortillas, salsas, stews, meats, and the whole family joins in. And it's not just for holidays. In many Mexican households, extended family gets together regularly. Some families even get together every day. And lunch, that's the biggest meal of the day. It can last for hours. It's not unusual for people to still be at the table for long after food is gone, talking, laughing, and sharing time. Another big difference in the US is meals are often squeezed in between work, school, and errands. In Mexico, the pace slows down. Lunch can stretch for hours, with the conversations going on and on. After the plates are gone, the table's cleared. Nobody's checking their watch or rushing to get back to emails. The priority is being present with the people around you. Number 5, fewer homeless in the city centers. Walk around downtown Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York. The list goes on. And it's impossible not to notice the tenants that are living in the tents or just on the sidewalks or living in cardboard shelters. In many US cities, homelessness is a huge and growing problem. And making them go to homeless shelters or putting them in prisons isn't going to do anything. But that's what the US thinks they should do with them. But anyways, that's for another video. But when you come to Mexico, in the city centers, you don't see homelessness on that scale. Actually, you hardly ever see homelessness here, even in Mexico City. And it's not because poverty doesn't exist. Mexico has its own struggles. I'm not gonna push that aside and say it doesn't exist here, because it really does. But the cities here, they're often designed in ways that keep downtowns busy and walkable. And family ties are also incredibly strong. If someone's in trouble, relatives often take them in before they end up on the streets. It's not unusual for 3 generations to share a home together. But in the US, when you share a home with extended family, sometimes it feels unusual. But in Mexico, that's normal. A lot of times in Mexican cities, the main plaza isn't just a tourist spot. It's kind of like a community living room. People of all income levels hang out there. Vendors sell snacks, kids play, and musicians play music. That constant activity means more eyes on the streets, more neighbors looking out for each other. And there's less space for forgotten corners to turn into sprawling tent cities. It's not that homelessness doesn't exist in Mexico, because it does. But the way society steps in, the options for informal work, and the structure of city life often keeps it from reaching the overwhelming levels you see in many big cities in the US. So the thing is, Mexican cities aren't the perfect. They're not the perfect. You're not gonna find a perfect city anywhere, but they definitely feel like a place where people are harder to forget. Number 6, everyday human connection. In the US, it's easy to go through a whole day without talking to anybody, especially people you don't know. You buy a coffee, you tap your card, and nod to the cashier and maybe say hi or say thank you. Have a good day, and that's it. In Mexico, good luck getting through the morning without 5 conversations, 3 smiles, and maybe a compliment on your shirt. And these are coming from complete strangers usually. There's a built-in friendliness in everyday life here. People greet each other everywhere, even if they've never met you. This isn't just politeness. It's like real social glue. And it's in small towns and big cities alike. The simple act of greeting strangers makes the streets feel safer and warmer. And it doesn't stop there. In Mexico, asking for directions might lead someone walking you at least halfway to your destination, just to make sure you find it. If you go buy fruit at the market, the person selling the fruit, might even give you a free slice or 2, or even sometimes they might give you a whole plate of fruit to try everything. That sense of connection changes how public spaces feel in Mexico compared to the US. You're not just another face in the crowd, you're part of a living, breathing neighborhood. Compare that to many US cities where strangers often feel invisible to each other. Headphones in, eyes down, and no small talk whatsoever. And it's not perfect here. Of course, there's grumpy people and rushed moments, but the baseline social warmth in Mexico makes daily life feel less lonely. Even in big cities like Mexico City or Guadalajara, it's normal for people to strike up conversations with you. I mean, it could be in line at the grocery store or even waiting for the bus at the bus stop. Number 7, life at human speed. In the US, it can feel like one giant stopwatch. You wake up, you rush to work, you rush through lunch, you rush at home, and then you rush to
Markets,
your
they
next
have
thing.
food
And
stalls
somehow you
tucked
still
inside
feel
of them.
left
Small
behind.
counters
In
serving bowls.
Mexico, even the busiest cities, there's this quiet rebellion against that kind of always to go faster lifestyle. Now, don't get me wrong, not everyone in Mexico is lounging in hammocks all day. Mexico City traffic alone can stress out the greatest Zen masters out there. But across the country, there's a stronger sense that life should have breathing room. In smaller towns, some shops still close for a couple hours in the afternoon, not because they're owners are lazy, but because it's lunch. And lunch isn't something you just gulp at your desk. Even in bigger cities, people carve out the time for the good stuff. A slow coffee with friends, a long family lunch, or stopping to chat with a neighbor instead of power walking past them. In the US, those moments are often squeezed into weekends, if you're lucky. In Mexico, they're built into the everyday rhythm of life, of everyday life. There's also less obsession with scheduling every second of the day. If someone invites you over, it might not be for a calendar event to set 3 weeks in advance. It could be, come by tonight. We're making tamales. Things happen here in Mexico when people feel like it, not just when the calendar says you're allowed to do it. That doesn't mean Mexico is free of stress. Bills still exist, jobs still demand effort, but the cultural pace says that your life shouldn't feel like a constant race. It's a reminder that being productive isn't the only way to measure a day well spent. Number 8, affordable living that feels rich. In the US, the phrase affordable living often means cutting back, smaller space, fewer nights out, and checking your bank account like it's a horror movie. But in Mexico, affordable living doesn't always mean sacrifice. In fact, for a lot of people, it feels like an upgrade. Daily life just costs less here, especially outside the biggest tourist zones. Rent in many Mexican cities is a fraction of what you pay in Los Angeles or New York. You can eat out here without feeling guilty. A full plate of tacos from a street stand might cost less than a single latte in the US. But we're not talking about cheap but sad. We're talking about fresh, handmade, usually cooked from someone's grandmother who knows exactly what they're doing with this food. It's just delicious. Affordability here isn't about money. It's about time and access. Public transportation is cheaper, and you can get around most neighborhoods on foot without needing your own car. Healthcare costs are lower, and even private doctor visits can be very affordable. Fresh produce is sold in local markets at prices that make you want to buy fruit just because it smells amazing, not because it's on sale. Now, saying all this, of course, incomes in Mexico are also lower on average. And not everyone here has it that easy. But the ratio of income to cost makes it feel a little less like an uphill climb. The uphill climb that a lot of people are making in the US right now. And making it in the US means earning more. In many Mexican cities, making it means needing less and still having more to live. Number 9, hospitality that feels like family. In the US, hospitality often means a smile, a glass of water, and maybe directions to the washroom, the restroom as you Americans call it. In Mexico, hospitality feels more like you've just got adopted. If you visit someone's home here, they don't just let you in, they welcome you in. Come sit, come eat, come have coffee. Even if you just stop by unannounced, you still might end up with a plate of food in front of you. And that's before you can say, sorry, I'm not hungry. And good luck convincing Mexican people that you've eaten enough. Mexican hosts take just one more as a personal challenge. And this warmth extends beyond homes. If you need to find a place, someone might even walk you there if you ask them for directions. Have a question about something in a shop? You can get a full mini lesson on it. Plus a story about where their product came from. If you order food at a small restaurant, the owner might even just come out to ask you how it was. And if you hesitate even for 1 second, they'll insist on bringing you something else to try. Or sometimes they'll just give you something extra for free because they want you to buy it next time maybe, or they just want to try something new that they've prepared today. It's not just friendliness. It's a cultural instinct to treat guests like honored visitors. That's how Mexicans treat you. That's how Mexicans treat people. The saying, mi casa, tu casa, my house is your house, isn't just a phrase. It's a social contract. People feel responsibility to make you feel comfortable, whether you're a family, friend, or just passing through. In the US, there's often a clear line between my space and your space. In Mexico, that line's a little bit more fuzzier. Here you get invited into people's lives, not just their living rooms. A quick coffee might turn into a 2-hour chat. A casual meeting might end up with you being invited to a family wedding or something like that. Mexicans are really good at making you feel like you belong. And in a world where loneliness is on the rise, that's just not nice. It's actually really priceless. Number 10, a history you can still touch. In the US, history often means visiting museums, reading a plaque, and standing behind a rope while guides explain what used to be there. In Mexico, history isn't just something you learn about. It's something you walk through every single day. You live in it. The past isn't locked behind glass cases. It's in the stone streets worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, in the colonial churches that still hold Sunday masses, in the pre-Hispanic ruins that sit outside modern neighborhoods. In cities like Puebla, Oaxaca, and Merida, you can sip coffee inside buildings that are older than the United States itself. And it's not just big famous sites like Chichen Itza. Smaller towns are full of hidden gems too. Century-old chapels, market halls that's been selling produce since before your great-great-grandparents were born. People don't just preserve history here. They live alongside it. This actually changes relationships that people have with their surroundings. In the US, historic districts are often treated like tourist zones, something you only visit on vacation. In Mexico, historic can mean your local plaza, the street where you buy tortillas, or the school your kids attend. The line between old and everyday is blurred in the best possible way. In Mexico, history isn't something you look at. It's something you bump into while getting groceries. It's living proof that a place can keep its past close without becoming completely stuck in it. Number 11, streets where kids still play. In a lot of neighborhoods in the US, the idea of kids playing outside unsupervised feels like a scene from an old movie. Parents worry about traffic, strangers, or simply the fact that there are no other kids around. In many parts of Mexico, especially outside the biggest cities, you still see kids filling the streets, plazas, and sidewalks like it's recess all afternoon. Walk through a small town in the evening and you might see a pack of kids playing soccer in the streets, using backpacks as goalposts. A few blocks over, ones are riding bikes, racing each other, or drawing chalk hopscotch boards on the pavement. It's like when I was younger. Parents are usually often nearby, chatting with neighbors, sitting outside, working in the open, in shop fronts, but the kids aren't glued to the adult sides. Part of this comes down to the community design in Mexico. A lot of times here, people know their neighbors. If kids take a tumble, there's always a grandma to pick them up, a shopkeeper or a cousin ready to step in to help. There's a shared sense of responsibility with everybody, that everyone's looking out for their kids. This makes it possible for kids to have independence. It's not just about safety either. Kids grow up learning to navigate their own neighborhoods, make friends in person, and solve problems without texting a parent for backup. That freedom builds kind of street smarts you can't get from an after-school program or a book. Sure, not all places in Mexico are safe for kids to just roam around. Just like not all places in the US are dangerous or safe. But many towns and even some cities and neighborhoods, the culture still supports letting kids be kids, running, laughing, and exploring the world without a GPS tracker on their phone or in their shoe. Number 12, public transportation that belongs to everybody. Some places in the US, public transportation can feel like a niche service, something only for people living in the big cities. In Mexico, it's part of the daily life for almost everybody here. From students and office workers to grandparents and street vendors, buses, minibuses, and metro systems are not just affordable, they're often the fastest way to get around. In Mexico City, the metro costs just a few pesos per ride, making it accessible to virtually anyone. I actually don't know, I could probably look it up, how much it costs right now, but it's irrelevant. It's just super cheap. In the US, transit can sometimes feel anonymous and even tense. Not too long ago, I was in San Francisco and I took the train from the airport to basically the main area, and it cost over $12 or $13 each. It's crazy. In Mexico, it's often a shared experience that reminds you you're part of a bigger community. Sure, it's not always glamorous. Buses can be crowded and traffic is pretty wild in some of these cities, but it works it's affordable, and it belongs to everyone. That's a shared ownership, makes it something more than just transportation. It's a rolling, rumbling reminder that the city worked best when people move together. Number 13, a shared language called soccer. In the US, sports are a big deal, but it depends on where you live. Football dominates in some states, basketball in others, baseball in the rest. In Mexico, it's simple. It's football, or as Americans call it, soccer. It cuts across everything. It's not just something people watch on TV. It's part of everyday life for a lot of them. The kids play in schoolyards, streets, and empty lots with whatever ball they can find. On weekends and weekdays at night, you'll see neighborhood matches going on everywhere, from organized fields to improvised goals made out of backpacks. Adults talk about last night's match at work, in the market, and even in taxis. And when the national team plays, the country pays attention. Streets get quiet, shops tune their TVs into the game, and you can hear the cheers ripple across entire neighborhoods when Mexico scores. What stands out is how accessible it is. You don't need expensive gear or some formal league. Just a ball and a patch of space is enough. That makes the game something almost everyone can participate in at some point, not just something they watch on TV. In the US, pro sports can sometimes feel like a spectator experience. In Mexico, soccer fields are more connected to everyday life. It's less about buying tickets to an arena and more about being a part of the culture where every game belongs to everybody. Number 14, markets that feel like community living rooms. In the US, grocery shopping is usually quick. Grab a cart, scan the list, self-checkout, done. In Mexico, the market is more of a place to buy food. It's where the neighborhood comes together. If you step into these markets, your senses light up. Fresh tortillas on the griddle, ripe mangoes stacked high, flower stalls bursting with color, spice stands filling up the air with aromas that you can almost taste. It's not just about the food, it's the people. Vendors know your name. They remember what you like and ask about your family. Shopping here feels more like a conversation than a transaction, like you're just meeting up with a friend. And everyone mixes into the same space. Chefs picking up ingredients for a restaurant, grandmas buying vegetables for lunch, kids spending a few pesos on candy. Markets are one of those few places where people from all walks of life still cross paths naturally. And most of these markets, they have food stalls tucked inside of them. Small counters serving bowls of soup, plates of enchiladas, or tamales straight from the pot. People linger, chat, and share tables with strangers here. It's not just shopping, it's a community. Really, it is. And this is happening in a world where grocery stores are becoming more automated and impersonal. Mexico's markets remind me that food isn't only about eating, it's about connection. In the US, you forget that food is about connection. There's a lot of other places in the world that share this idea, how to connect through food. Seems like in the US, you don't connect through food. You just sit down, eat quickly, and get going to your life. Number 15, public spaces that actually belong to the public. In many US cities, the public spaces are shrinking. Parks get fenced off, plazas become private property, and no loitering signs tell people to keep moving. In Mexico, public spaces are still open, and they actually belong to the people. In the central plazas in Mexico's towns and cities, it's not just for decoration. It's like the town's living room. By day, vendors sell snacks, flowers, and toys. And by night, families stroll, teenagers meet up, older couples sit on benches, and music drifts through the air. Kids run around freely, and nobody's shooing them away. These spaces aren't for customers. They're for everybody. You don't need to buy a coffee to sit down, and nobody cares if you linger for hours. Hanging out in these parts of town, it's the whole point. It's where you run into friends, you meet your neighbors, or you stumble into a concert or festival you didn't even know was happening. Even in the big cities, plazas are protected as cultural life. Street performers, food vendors, and musicians aren't seen as clutter. They're what makes the space feel alive. In a world where more and more life happens behind a screen or paywalls, Mexico's plazas are a reminder that community can still exist in the open, free, spontaneous, and truly shared with everybody. So yeah, there you have it. 15 ways Mexico outshines the US. Of course, neither place is perfect, but maybe the best thing we can do is steal a few ideas from each other. And if you think I probably missed something, yeah, you're probably right, I did. But that's for another video, I think. And if you come this far, click on my next video. And in this video, I tell you 22 ridiculous myths about Mexico Americans actually still think. I think you'll like it, and thanks for watching.